Good evening. Tonight, I am going over the hashtag ODBJ, our different budgeting journeys that Miss Budgeting April started, and she was grateful enough to let me be involved, and I appreciate that. Thank you, April. There are several of us that are doing it on Tuesdays and several of us that are doing it on Wednesdays, so I encourage you to check all of them out. This is our last part of a 5-part series, and tonight's theme or subject, whatever you want to call it, is advice that we would give to you, whether you be looking at starting or starting and not sure where to go next, or in it and maybe just some things that you are trying to fine tune. So I always say, if you're going to start. You won't regret starting, but I never, I don't think I have anyway, have ever went into that with more detail. So by starting, it could be a few things. It could be the way I started. I binged videos for 2 or 3 months. I probably help with so many people's watch time because I watched the videos from start to finish. I caught up on people's, I binged, I marathoned YouTube videos, and that might not be right for you. It might be. For me, it really showed me different ways to do it, and it got me motivated, and then I just had to figure out how to get started. How to get started is a little trickier than knowing you want to start. For me, I didn't really know how to start with my regular budget. So I went out and got a side hustle, and for a month I just stuffed my side hustle, and that's not necessarily right or wrong. That's what was right for me. And the one thing that I really want to come across in this video is that budgeting is so flexible. It is not the same for a single person. Everybody has their own right way to budget, and just about everybody changes their budgeting constantly. Even if you watch these videos, you will see that we change our sinking funds, or we change our savings challenges, or we change our binders, or we change our envelopes, or we change what's our priority that month, or we change how we do our budget with me's, or some of us don't even record our budget with me's, we do those privately. There's no wrong way to budget other than not budgeting, right? So for me, I binge watched YouTube, and I took 3 months and I wrote down all of my purchases for 3 months. I looked at my checking account. I looked at the credit cards that I use. I don't leave balances on credit cards. I wasn't doing that before I started this way. But I would write down what I spent, and then I would look every month what I was spending my money on. And honestly, for me, that one thing helped me tighten up my budget immediately. I was appalled at how much money we were spending on eating out. It was an insane amount of money, in my opinion, and I immediately tightened that up. Before I started doing anything else, I looked at what I could fix in those budgets, and then I did it for 2 more months and saw progress. And I got rid of subscriptions. I called vendors, or whatever you call them, the companies that I work with, like for cable and phone, and saw if they could reduce mine. I got rid of some apps that I used on my phone that I didn't really use, but I never bothered to cancel. And I slowly started doing that, and then I started making a list of what sinking funds I would have, and I chose to not do my bills. All my bills are on auto draft. I have them on a calendar. I've always done that. I know when they're coming out. I just left that money in the bank. That doesn't mean you can't. If you are somebody that feels like you need the money out of the bank, because if it's in the bank you'll want to spend it, then pull it out and do your bills. Again, it's flexible for what works for you. My problem is after paying the bills, I was religious about paying my bills. After that, it was like a free-for-all, and the money could just go, and I didn't think anything of a $50 purchase at Target, a $100 purchase here. Oh, kids, you want that? Yeah. So for me, that's where my loose ends needed tightened up. So I would say review your purchases, get rid of any non-essentials, or if your budget's super tight, get rid of stuff that aren't needs. Start there and then add it back in as a reward. So if you don't need Netflix, Hulu, cable, or 7 other streaming services, maybe take it down to one, like Disney Plus or Netflix or Hulu instead of all of them. And if you find you don't even watch TV, then maybe get rid of those. Maybe you don't need that app on your phone that charges $9.99 a month because you forgot you even had it. I highly recommend you go into your settings and check what subscriptions you have if you have an Apple. I'm not sure how to do that on Android. And if you're not using them, get rid of them and save that money. And then you could just put that money in a jar like this, just the money you're saving. Or you could get envelopes, just white envelopes, and you could get a piece of paper and write down what you're saving for. Like, I don't know, let's see, your electric bill's coming and you put that money in an envelope, and then the electric bill comes and you can pay it, and you see the rewards from the system. I would say you don't need fancy stuff. Don't start by having to have everything. I started, and I actually still continue to use just a regular notebook. This is how I do my budgets. This is my son's reading folder from last year, and it still had paper in it. So this is how I do my budgets. I still do it this way. This was this week's. Doesn't mean you have to, but you can. You could use a box of white envelopes from the Dollar Tree, and you could do your own challenges if you wanted, or you could just use a jar. You could use a spaghetti jar. You could use a plastic cup. There is no wrong way to save. The important thing is that you save. I say start small, but start putting your pennies in a glass jar. Start there. It adds up. It all adds up. Remember that budgeting is flexible, and you need to be too. There are often unexpected, or Miss April used a term called pop-ups that I really thought was a good word, that will come. And they always came, but you notice them a little bit more when you're budgeting because you realize I need to save for those. You realized you had them before you budgeted, but you would put them on a credit card and kind of forget it, right? So budgeting does make them stand out a little bit more, but then you're really relieved when you have the money to pay for them. And then my other advice would be don't overdo it. Don't jump into budgeting, buying $100 worth of stuff. Don't be so strict that you can't stick with it. Don't only eat beans and rice until you pay it all off, because that's not realistic and that's not long lasting. Now, be disciplined, but you don't have to, be bored. You can still have a life. This could take years, and hopefully this is a lifestyle change, not a temporary thing. Don't go into it spending all the money. Don't go into it being super strict. Don't go into it saying I'm going to film a YouTube video every night. Don't go into it expecting to make money on YouTube. That would be a bonus if it happens, but it's not an instant reality. So as long as you don't have too high of expectations and you don't overdo it, it is a lasting lifestyle. And I am ever so thankful that I found budgeting and that I found this community and that I have stuck with it for now almost 10 months. I can definitely see changes, and I'm not saying it hasn't been hard. And I'm not saying I'm not a little bit tired of working my side hustle for almost a year, but it's worth it. So I hope that any of this helps you if you're trying to get started or if you had questions. And I also welcome you to leave questions or comments down below and let me know if I can help with anything. Also, all of these wonderful channels that are doing this with us, and even there's channels that aren't, they're all awesome. I ask questions. I either ask them in the comments or I ask them on Instagram, and I have never not had somebody help me or explain something to me or give me an idea. So many of my envelopes have come from other challenges. As an example, I wrote myself a note that I need a senior year envelope from one of the videos I did. Somebody recommended that and I was like, brilliant. And there was another one I wanted and I can't remember now to write it down, so hopefully I think of it. So just remember, this community is amazing. This community is supportive, and you don't have to do it in this community. There's Facebook groups, you could do it yourself. I do hope that you have somebody that supports you, because that will help. And I hope that you find many successes. All right, guys, don't forget to visit everybody in the ODBJ. After me is Tidy with Toya, and she does cleaning videos and she does budgeting videos, and I think she does nail videos. Don't hold me to that. Anyway, awesome channel. I recommend you go check her out, not only for her advice, but also for her cool videos. All right, guys, I will put everybody below in the description that's participating, and I wish you the best. Bye.